Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Testimony Thursdays. I'm your host, Dr. Jazz, physical therapist. I feel like today it's giving news anchor, but thank you all for joining. Thank you all for watching. And before we get started with our topic, we are going to read from my book that was gifted to me by one of my patients' daughters, Jesus Calling. So I talked about this a little bit on my last previous episode. So let's go ahead and get into it. So today is January 28th, and it says, I am with you always. I spoke these words to my disciples after my resurrection. I continue to proclaim this promise to all who listen. People respond to my continual presence in various ways. Most Christians accept this teaching as truth, but ignore it in their daily living. Oh, some ill taught or wounded believers fear and may even resent my awareness of all they do, say, and think. A few people center their lives around this glorious promise and find themselves blessed beyond all expectations. When my presence is the focal point of your consciousness, all the pieces of your life will fall into place. As you gaze at me through the eyes of your heart, you can see the world around you from my perspective. The fact that I am with you makes every moment of your life meaningful. In the script, excuse me, in the scriptures it has today is Matthew 28:20, Psalm 139, 1 through 4. Mm. Y'all, that's good right there. That is good, especially because, yeah, we all know what's going on in the United States and all the division and terror and everything that is going on. And I feel like as a healthcare professional, how can we not be compassionate? Like, especially as a believer, like if you're a believer, like you should not be wanting people to be ripped away from their families, wanting people to be killed. Like that is just that's a whole other topic. But I'm glad I have this devotional. I'm so thankful for my girl that gave this to me because it keeps me going. It keeps me motivated. And it really does feel like, excuse me, y'all. Y'all know I don't have any AC in Hawaii. It's hot over here. But shout out to everyone that's cold, that's in the winter and it's snowing. And sorry to hear about that. But yeah, Jesus calling, it keeps me motivated and just, yeah, keeping our focus on him and he will guide our paths, acknowledging him in everything that we do and keep moving forward. We've been through worse. We will get through this, y'all. So, yes, I'm praying for everyone out there. I love y'all and yeah, take it one day at a time. So today it's gonna be another quick episode. I'm just gonna talk about some things that I've been involved with lately. So I did get to go to the Martin Luther King parade out here in Honolulu, and it was so much fun. It was good just being around people that are good people and want to love others and just being around, humanity, just realizing that we're all human. We all have different beliefs. We all have different cultures and just seeing everyone come together was amazing. And y'all, they got me out there strolling again. So my church was out there. That was amazing. My sorority was out there, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And we were strolling and just having a good time, marching, good food, good energy. It was amazing. So, and I didn't have that day off of work, but I did not go to work that day because no, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm not playing that. So yeah, I'm making that commitment to not work on those days anymore and do something that is in remembrance of him. So which I feel like as a healthcare worker that's still good to go to work, but no, I need to have that day off. So that was fun. And then I did go to the APTA Hawaii conference, winter conference. So that was also an amazing thing just to be around other physical therapists that are motivated to make a difference. So, I've been talking about how I've been going to more conferences and just learning more just to be able to help my patients out. And it was four different people that were presenting on different topics. So, one of the topics was about stroke recovery And the PT, she is amazing. Her name is Dr. Leah. Absolutely love her. She's just so energetic and passionate about teaching. And she was talking about how as PTs, when we have stroke survivors, we don't always address like the upper extremity. We leave that to OTs. But she was very adamant about, okay, when we have a stroke patient and their goal is to maybe they want to walk again. Most people, that's their main goal, but she was just talking about how repetition is very important. So even with like standing, like if you think about how often we stand throughout the day, we need to push that on our patients that are recovering from strokes as well. So she was talking about how she had a patient who really enjoyed cooking, and she was trying to, I think, recover the use of her right upper extremity. So when she had her stand in, she would have her weight bear through her right upper extremity, and then she would place like different pots and pans with her left hand, or like different ingredients with her left hand in a bowl, and she was like stabilizing the bowl with her right hand. And I'm like, that is so smart, like something that's meaningful to the patient. She talked about that too, like how neuroplasticity is going to be more impactful when the patient is doing something meaningful, and how studies were done on that, and just different parts of the brain highlight when we're doing something that matters to us. um, so just a dynamic presentation. Absolutely loved it. And then there was another one that talked about breathing, the respiratory system. And this one physical therapist, she works in pelvic floor and also with the respiratory system. So she was talking about how, sometimes it's hard for our patients to breathe. Like if they have, look at me, my posture right now, if they have poor posture, they have that forehead posture, rounded shoulders, it's hard for them to inhale and exhale. So she was just giving us different examples and how we can address that, especially working in home health. Like if I'm taking your vitals and your oxygen is, within the low 90s, high 80s, we need to do some breathing activities before we do exercises. So I actually used it with one of my patients. So he was his oxygen was like at 90%. And I was like, okay, we're gonna work on breathing. And his wife got the spirometer out so he can practice breathing with that. But he just was not getting it. Like, and the spirometer is actually really hard. So what I learned from the conference, the physical therapist, she got a piece of paper, and I'm just gonna use my napkin. And she was like, put the paper in front of them and then have them breathe and then blow on the paper. So then they're getting that visual cue that the paper is moving. So I got a piece of paper and I just had him blow on that, and then he could see that it was moving and his oxygen went up. So I was telling them, that's something you can practice, especially if the spirometer is a little tricky. Um, so I learned that, and then we learned about like bone mineral density in runners, especially people that do long runs. And I know like the marathons where people are running like 26 miles. I'm like, what? Y'all, 26 miles? I can run a mile. It takes me 14 minutes, but I'm working on that. But 26 miles without stopping, y'all are superheroes. So we're just talking about that and how what are some like high risk behaviors and how we can address that as physical therapists, especially looking at somebody's diet, sending them, referring them to a dietitian, so they can just get all the nutrients they need to finish the race. So I thought that was a very interesting presentation. And then the last one, y'all, this one was so good. It was about implicit bias. And I love that we're talking about this, especially in today's time where our language is trying to be limited. So the presenter, he was just talking about as physical therapists, when we're reading over somebody paperwork, like we're automatically judging them. So he had a piece of paper and he was like, okay, when you hear these words, like what are you automatically thinking? How are you picturing this patient? His presentation was so good, y'all. But he was just talking about like, okay, when we see the word non-compliant, like are we automatically judging that patient? Or if we see the word alcohol abuse or drug abuse. So he was just saying how we can frame it and word it differently. If we have a patient that we think is non-compliant, we can say, patient missed physical therapy visits due to unknown reasons, or patient is recovering from alcohol abuse, or not abuse, but I forgot how he worded that one. But just different things on how we can paint the picture of someone, because it can affect how other healthcare professionals view them as well. And it's just what you we never know what somebody's going through. We don't know their story, and we don't want to be the one that stops them from getting care because of a small snippet that we heard about them. So he really had us thinking, and just just being more compassionate as healthcare workers. So I really enjoyed that. And I'm excited for CSM, y'all. I'm definitely going in California, and I think that's what 2-3 weeks from now. So I love learning. I love hearing about different perspectives about what other physical therapists are doing in the field. So yes, y'all, that's all I have for you today. Just enjoying the MLK Parade and the APTA Hawaiʻi Winter Conference. I do have some other news to share with y'all later about APTA Hawaii, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, so, how we end every episode, we talk about a test that we're going through or a test that we went through that's going to lead to a testimony. So, for me, the test that I'm going through, y'all, is patience, patience, patience. So I read somewhere that we often get anxiety because we're rushing the Lord, and He already know what's going to happen and how it's going to work out. But we're the ones that have anxiety because we're trying to rush something that takes time. Takes time. So for me, that is currently what my test is, and it's going to lead to a testimony. So yes, y'all, thank you so much for listening. We're going to have more guests on the podcast. I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok at Testimony Thursdays, and on YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.